Welcome back to Two Therapists Walk Into a Podcast. My name is Stephanie Edsel, and I'm an LCSW in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Hi, and I'm Robin Green. I am here in Tucson, Arizona, and I am also an LCSW. And in our last episode, we talked about how fear can get framed as faith and how that shapes the nervous system. Today builds directly from that. When fear is used to keep us aligned or obedient, shame is often what keeps that pattern in place in the body. And so today we're going to talk about shame not as a personal flaw or something you need to eliminate, but really as something the nervous system learned.
And for many people, especially those shaped by purity culture or moralized belief systems, shame wasn't just emotional. It became a form of regulation.
And honestly, if you've ever wondered, why do I still feel shame in my body, even though I know better? This episode is for you. And as always, this is education, not therapy. So please take what fits, leave what doesn't, and you're in charge of your own pace here. And before we go any further, let's pause for a moment and know that you don't need to change anything about your body right now. Just noticing it, that's enough. If you're open to it, notice where your body is in contact with what's supporting you, where there's any tension, and where things feel neutral or steady. There's no positive or negative information here, just sensation. When people hear the phrase purity culture, they often think only about sexuality. And often purity culture functions as regulation through shame. This gets internalized as simple rules like don't draw attention, don't want too much, or if you feel uncomfortable, you're probably doing something wrong. It teaches the nervous system that certain sensations, emotions, needs, or expressions make you unsafe or unlovable. When safety or belonging is on the line, the body adapts quickly. So shame becomes a regulatory strategy.
Right. Remember, not because it's healthy, simply because it works. It is helping in the moment.
That's right. Shame organizes behavior fast. It keeps the body small, contained, careful. And for many people, this showed up in subtle everyday messages. Be good. Don't want too much. Don't take up space. Don't trust your body. And over time, the nervous system learns to monitor itself constantly, not just in action, but thoughts, feelings, and even sensations.
This is where self-surveillance comes from. You're not just living, you're watching yourself live, kind of like on the sidelines. And that ongoing monitoring pulls you out of the body and into the mind. That's why purity culture often leads to body mistrust and dissociation, even years later. And I'm wondering if autoimmune disease comes from that stuff as well. It's a reason why shame can persist long after you intellectually reject the belief system, because the body does know what relationships and or institutions to reject. It's just as little kids, we don't know how to verbalize that. And adults are not going to be able to hear that either.
That's really insightful. And I do wonder the same about the autoimmune. And I feel like there's a lot more coming out about that.
Me too.
And, insight does help, but insight alone doesn't retrain that nervous system.
No, otherwise, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast.
That's right.
This is also where people often start blaming themselves. Why am I still uncomfortable? Why does my body react this way? What's wrong with me? Why can't I just relax?
Mm-hmm. And your body isn't malfunctioning, it adapted. If certain sensations were once labeled dangerous, sinful, inappropriate, or wrong, your nervous system learned to disconnect from them. And that can often look like numbness, tightness, saying, I'm just tired, hypervigilance, or feeling like you're always watching yourself from the outside. And for some people, it shows up as difficulty assessing pleasure or rest.
For others, it's a constant low grade sense of discomfort in their own skin. None of that means you're broken. It means your body learned that being present wasn't safe. That's learned protection. And I do want to mention that this doesn't happen evenly because remember that different bodies are going to respond differently.
Exactly. Some bodies are taught to be quiet, pleasant, and contained. Others are allowed or even encouraged to be assertive, expressive, or dominant. And those expectations shape how the nervous system learns to regulate. And so shame isn't random and it isn't evenly distributed. Here's today's nervous system nugget. Shame is learned. Safety is biological. Shame is not something your nervous system was born needing. It's something that gets installed over time through repeated experiences of correction, withdrawal, or disapproval. Your nervous system, on the other hand, is wired for safety. It looks for cues like predictability, permission, and connection to know when it can settle. Shame may organize behavior temporarily. It can stop movement, expression, or desire. But safety is what allows integration, flexibility, and healing. So when shame shows up in the body, it's not a sign that you've failed. It's really a sign that the nervous system is still using an old strategy to try to stay safe.
I love that information. It hopefully helps dispel some of the shame immediately. Just that people's biology is doing what it is supposed to do. But how do we begin to separate inherited moral rules from what the body is sensing?
So try this gently. When you notice shame, ask yourself, is this a rule I learned or a signal my body is giving me right now? Then pause. Notice what happens in your body when you ask that question. And you're not deciding anything. You're just distinguishing. That distinction alone can create a little bit more space. Please know if your body still carries shame, it doesn't mean that you're healing wrong or doing anything wrong. It really just means that your system learned something once and hasn't yet learned that it's safe to let it go.
And remember, healing isn't linear, and we're here for the ride.
Thank you for listening today. Take what was helpful, set down what wasn't, and give yourself a little space to land as the episode comes to a close. More grounded conversations, science, and practical nervous system tools are on the way next week. This podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not therapy, does not provide medical or mental health advice, and does not create any kind of therapeutic relationship. For personalized support, please reach out to a licensed mental health professional in your area or contact your local crisis resources if you're in immediate need.